It's still good morning. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025, and it's a little bit after 11 o'clock, and we've been going over and marking up the FY26 budget. I just had a little quick meeting with Emily from JFO, who has some spreadsheets to sort of help us also see about the rest of the budget. You know, we got the big spreadsheet yesterday about sort of the one-times and all the requests, and she's got some other stuff about the rest of the budget. So once we're off the floor, she'll present that to us. So that'll give us sort of more of the whole picture, which is a great thing. So in the meantime, we'll just continue doing a little bit more of anything we can close or anything else we want to talk about. And I think Rep. Harrison has something.
Well, I'd like to go back and revisit E209, Public Safety State Police, and the language on page 27. This is that 2.1 million back to the general fund for state police vehicles. With Maria's help, we did find we are spending more than that. The 2.1 million has been the standard language that has been coming out of the transportation fund, but that does not cover the cost of state police vehicles. The rest of it has already been in the general fund. Last year, the appropriation was 2.7 million. I'm sorry, 2.9 million. Okay, I'm reading my numbers wrong, and it's going up to 3.4.
Okay.
So I would recommend we close it off, because we've already kind of acknowledged the fact that we're not be able to charge that to the
Okay.
fund going forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody good with that? Has anything come up for anybody else in the last 15 minutes? If not, let's just take a quick look at the committee letters to see if there's anything more that we need. This group is still here. Yes.
If you're in the productivity mode with your time this morning, you might also be able to close out the 900.
E900.
Which has to do, it's the last piece about the JTOP transfer.
Oh, thank you. That's E900. Okay, and so that's John. It is. It's the very. I have page 46. Thank you. E900 is the removal of the JTOP transfer. This is not in the web report, it's in the language, on the back page of the language. Everybody orient where we are here.
Yep.
Chris, do you want to tell us anything about it?
Sure. So this is the language that was in Title 19 that describes allowable uses of the transportation fund. And you will see here that this language contained the, this is all current law that you see here that's being stricken, the step down of the amount of the JTOP appropriation of public safety in recent years. You see that $2.25 million, and that's sub 4. That sub B is that language that we were speaking about the $2.1 million floor for the vehicle replenishment. At the end of the day, if you all are repealing the JTOP appropriation, it would make sense to take this out of Title 19 while you're doing it.
So approving the revised version, amended version of E900.
Yeah, as presented.
Right. How are people feeling about that? That's sort of the other half of what we just did. Everybody okay with that?
So we're removing the non-struck out language.
You'd be removing everything that's
Struck out.
All of 11A.
Yeah, so all references to T fund going to the Department of Public Safety.
Right. So basically what we're left with is no T fund should be appropriated for the support of government other than for the agency, the board, transportation, pay act funds, construction of transportation capital, debt service, and the operation of the information centers.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
let's close that. Maria?
No, that's cool. That one we're good with. I have another subject for you.
Okay, we're gonna check that off and let's move to your subject.
Okay, the subject here is the categorical aid that, there was a question about in,
Yes.
507.1.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, that I'll read Julia Richter's
Yeah.
response.
thank you.
The EL categorical aid is categorical aid for English learner pupils that is in addition to the EL rates. School districts with fewer than 26 EL pupils receive categorical aid for English learners. This is statutory formula categorical aid. Specifically, school districts with 1 to 5 EL students enrolled receive $25,000 in categorical aid from the education fund. As school districts with 6 to 25 EL students receive $50,000 in categorical aid from the E fund. This was implemented in Act 127 in 22 and now lives in 16 VSA section 4013.
Okay,
Okay.
the end. That was very helpful.
Yes. she's
Please
great.
thank Julia for us.
That's very good.
Is everybody clear on that? Everybody okay? Mike, are you okay with that now that we know?
No.
Okay, I hope we remember that for next year. Save that email.
I forwarded it to you, so you'll have it.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
So
we got-
I gotta remember it next year. Okay, thank you. All right, so we've tidied up some of those things. And so let's see. So Tom, you're meeting with ACCD this afternoon, is that right? No, tomorrow. Okay. So I'm looking at the commerce letter, because that's the one that I came out on top with, and I know that some of this is Tiff's and some of this is yours.
Yeah.
And this is also kind of goes back and forth, usually with the language.
Alright, so comments.
Commerce, and the first one I see. I'm not looking at one time right now, which is B 1100. But if I look at C 103, which is on your second page. Oh. So. If you remember, one of the things that the administration wanted to do, and we looked at doing it for the budget adjustment, but we decided to hold off, was there was 7 million in BGAP money for the business loans and grants. And instead of keeping the 7 million, they wanted to give 2 million to Vita to be able to do their loans. They were gonna just reduce, so there was no new money, it was just a reduction, and we didn't feel like we wanted to the Commerce needed to take the testimony and make that decision. So that they have taken the testimony and made that recommendation, and have you talked to them about
I haven't been
that?
able to check anything. I will. So I guess the question that I had looking at this was, BGAP money is also for the relief. If I'm not
Well-
mistaken, right? This is to go to Vita. I wasn't sure about what the difference was between the two. Like why park $2 million here?
Right, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Now, there's a bill, page 398.
Yeah.
Out there. Let's look at that bill.
there's language in there, right?
Must be some.
Well, certainly Vita is set up for this, you know, we worried last year. At least last year, if not before, and Jim and Trevor may remember. That ACCD was running a lot of these programs and actually didn't have any staff. To run these programs, Lynn, you may remember that
Yes.
too, right?
They put a lot of the ARPA money through commerce. It was really.
Right, and
They should be able to answer this.
yes, so. I think what I'm hearing is people are maybe inclined to think this is a good idea, but let's find out why it's in two places.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then, I mean, that has a bit of a connection to, again, the one-time step about the agricultural relief fund that is being imposed. It's a $20 million relief fund. But it's the same. The reason that's getting funded or that's getting requested is because BGAP doesn't go far enough.
Right,
Agriculture.
right.
The language, the new language, have some certain housing projects designed for the purpose of housing employees of persons named eligible on consent of the Vermont Housing Finance Agency. Looks like they may.
Say that again, I'm sorry, in this.
Certain housing projects designed for the purpose of housing employees of a business may be eligible upon consent of the Vermont Housing Finance Agency. And that's new language that's on H398. I don't know if that's all.
Is that, where is that in the world? That's still on the wall, or are we gonna?
I don't know, I just looked at
That's allowing Vita the opportunity to develop housing for employees for the fund.
it. Sounds like it. I haven't digested it all the time.
Let's see how far along, if it's in 398, they're clearly intending to have a draft for today.
It's off the wall.
It's draft 3.1, they're working on it. I don't think that the committee would have put it in here if they weren't intending to take up the bill. So I think what they're saying is we keep the money in the budget and then they'll do the language. And we can check with them on if they want us to put any language in the budget. That's trying to find C103, it just has a transfer. This is establishing, so H2, the explanation for C103 for the 2 million to Vita. The administration's explanation in our language is it establishes a natural disaster revolving loan fund for businesses in Vermont. So the BGAP was kind of one time out the door, no more. And so they're saying, let's start a revolving loan fund with 2 million. It's not a lot. So I'm not quite sure how it's being used, but
Just looking at 398 here. This is not about, page 398 is not about.
all about Vita.
It's about allowing Vita to. Well, it's 31-page bill, so
Right.
first few pages are just about the amending provisions governing Vita, and it's about one of the first page, it's about allowing Vita to as Wayne mentioned, certain housing projects designed.
Right, in the yellow section, starting on page 24, probably is, well, that's standard jobs.
I'm wondering if it's, provide for housing in the event of a disaster or to the business or whatever.
Yeah, it's natural disaster relief. It's got a lot of stuff here. Disaster Recovery Loan Fund. There is established, so I'm on page 30, 15. Within the authority of Disaster Recovery Loan Fund. And consult with Commerce and Ag whether funds should be made available. So my guess is that their seeding is, and then as natural disasters occur, there's the opportunity to put more into a fund that they're setting up.
It's really hard for, if you have some damage from whatever disaster, to have to take up a loan
Right.
to get help.
Well, they'll probably, this would be a low interest rate loan or I don't know what the details are, but I think that's what they're trying to do versus
Kind of see.
the B gap was just grants out. So anyway, Tom will find out more about that.
It's a revolving loan program and it's not direct relief, it's a loan, so.
Grant.
So-
It would be a loan.
Yeah, and so it makes sense for the language to be in this bill. The question, so I just check with them and I think the money would be in the budget, the language would be in the bill. So that's fine. That's fine to do it that way. In May, we may end up moving it all into the same, into the budget.
Well,
But
this isn't asking for.
No.
I'm not seeing any financial numbers to ask, so.
No.
$2 million is, again, would be, feels disconnected from this language.
Well,
I mean, the intent is in the budget language, but.
that's right.
That.
And then the program is there.
Well,
They probably didn't want to nail down their number in there because expecting the distributed well.
Well, we seed it with the $2 million.
Just shifting two into
Thank you.
a different spot.
So, all right, so that'll be a big part of the conversation.
VEDA does have experience with all of this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, they do it for agriculture, they do it for businesses, they do it,
There is appropriation for.
Oh, is it for 2 million? Okay. As long as we're all talking about the same 2 million. Oh, no, there's 150. Well, that's the business office. That's gonna be interesting these days. Sure, people in Canada are gonna be happy to see us.
they also leverage that money, whatever money they get, they buy down interest rates, they make it really. But they're the lender of last resort, basically.
Oh, no, the RDCs are, I had revolving loan funds, we used to have a lot of work with, yes, they're more sort of alternative, their underwriting criteria are more flexible than a bank's.
Yes, and they work with banks and.
Right.
And
And the
all of
community
these,
loan funds and all that.
as an example, all of these supports are in our big sheet, right?
If everything that was a request that was a one-time, if it was in the B section,
These are.
yeah. So when we look at the one-time and we go through, we can also, you'll want to take a look, well, this is actually all in, right? The committee letter is all in that long sheet. So we can do it that way. And I'm going to seek more guidance on. So here's $300 million in asks. What can we really spend? But you all could be thinking about that now that you're seeing all of it. And then this afternoon from Emily, we're going to get the bigger thing and just, so let's say we have 20 million. How would what are you going to pick or parts about those spreadsheets?
20 million one time or base?
One time.
Thought so. I was just hoping.
I know. Well, there is a base that we may be able to find that we can extract out of. There may be a couple things. There's not going to be, I'm not anticipating any big miracles from somewhere. But maybe it's 20, maybe it's 50. I don't know what it is at this point. And then we'll also probably have a waterfall, a contingent list of if revenues, we saw January revenues, they're coming in higher. If revenues continue to come in higher, having a contingency list. We will not have a $300 million contingency list, but we'll have some sort of contingency list that we want to put together. So you can just sort of be thinking about that as well. Dave?
If the Ways and Means, depending on what the Ways and Means Committee might do with the tax exemption
Uh-huh.
issues,
Yes.
could that money become base money if they didn't use it?
Yes. And at the moment, we'll see when Emily presents the spreadsheet, the governor is using a lot of base as one time. The good news is he's not losing one time as base because that we don't want to do.
Right.
Okay, so, okay. So I think we're gonna be done somewhere. Wayne,
I don't see the 2 million. It
So
wouldn't be on.
wouldn't be on it.
that's great. Just for your information, I'm sorry for butting in.
Please shut up.
At the very beginning, line 8, it says commerce, and then I changed the font to small size, and it says sports B 1110, B 11. C 103, which is, this recommendation from the governor.
Okay.
See how it's in the smaller print?
So if there's no number over to the right, it's not counted in the number, because it was part of the governor's.
That's exactly right, yes.
Okay.
Right. If there's a bigger number to the right of that, in that section, then
Yep.
it's different money. So, so we will come back, right after the floor and have Emily do her thing, and we'll be on the floor. And we'll have an adjustment, be prepared in case anybody, I just don't think we're gonna have a lot of questions today. She says knock on wood, but I don't expect it to, yield to any of you, but you might, you never know. So, Erin, shall we go offline? Thank you.